Should you participate in an exit interview? That's what we're going to talk about on today's walk. Now, what is an exit interview? An exit interview is an interview that's requested by your company when you've quit. Maybe you're in your 2-week notice, so that they can gain insight into, 1, how was your time there? 2, why are you leaving? And then 3, is there anything they could have done to keep you around? Then the company will use that information to help limit turnover in the future, how they can retain their employees better. They may handle issues. If there's a known issue in your area, maybe your insight will help them solve it, whether that's a leadership issue, time, whatever the case may be. So it's a way for the company to try to solve problems using honest feedback from the people that have chosen to leave the organization. So I'm going to talk about the pros of doing an exit interview, the cons of doing an exit interview, what you should consider before you decide yes or no to the exit interview. And then at the end, I will give my personal opinion on whether you should participate in an exit interview or just avoid it altogether. So first, what are the pros? Number 1 is constructive criticism. It's a chance for you to give your honest opinion on the company, your time there, things that could improve. It may even be a benefit to your coworkers that you're leaving behind if the company takes that advice and uses it constructively. So it could be a chance to have positive change. The second thing is that it's a good way to keep your options open. If you're leaving a company, you have a good experience there, you give a positive exit interview, it's likely that they'll be open to you coming back in the future if you so chose. So those are your 2 primary pros for doing an exit interview. So, what are the cons? I think there are 2 cons as well. 1, it may be a complete waste of time if you work at a company that has no interest in what feedback they get. Some companies, they're stuck in their ways. They're going to do what they want to do, regardless of what the associates think. And in that case, you're really just spinning your wheels. It's a waste of time. There's no benefit for you. There's no benefit for your coworkers. There's really no benefit for the company. The second con is backlash. It could be backlash against you personally, depending on your responses. You may get put on a list of people that are undesirable to come back. You may also, depending on how general and broad your statements are, you could negatively impact the people that you're leaving behind, because the company may take your statements and understand them to mean the whole department feels that way. And then a leader whose feelings are hurt may start taking that out on the employees that you left behind, particularly if you were really close to some of those associates. So there are cons. So if you're trying to decide, should you do an exit interview or not, there are 3 factors that I think you should consider. 1 is the company culture and how much you trust that company. The reality is that every company is different. Some companies are great. The exit interview is going to be very well received. Other companies, they just have a poor culture. Maybe it's toxic. Maybe they just think that they're right and they don't want input. If you work at a company who's got a terrible culture, odds are some of those cons are going to be what results from your exit interview. In which case, you don't really want to give an exit interview. Same thing if you don't trust them with that information. They may use that information. They may even divulge it to other coworkers. And you may even have damaged relationships as a result. So how much do you trust the company, and what kind of culture is it? Are they a good culture, trustworthy company, or is it sketchy, toxic, and you don't trust them? The second factor is personal goals. Not personal goals now, but in the future. Might you come back one day? If there's a chance that you're going to come back one day, particularly if you're going to come back to the same area. So if you are in finance, you leave, and there's a good chance that if you come back, it will be in finance, then you need to think long and hard before you do that exit interview. If you give a really negative exit interview, again, you may be put on some kind of list. There may be no chance for you to come back. Conversely, if you give a really positive exit interview, you may have just upped your chances of being accepted back should you get an opportunity to take a role in the future with that company. So think about what your future goals are, and then does it benefit you to actually participate in the exit interview, or does it actually benefit you to avoid participating in the exit interview? The third factor is preparation and strategy. Now, an exit interview is not some massive thing that needs lots of preparation and strategy. And, you're leaving the company. So at the end of the day, you could just blow it off. You could be as mean or nice as you want to be. But when you go into it with no preparation and no strategy, you can find yourself making some of these broad general statements that I said that could have a negative impact on people you're leaving behind. You may go in with a temper. Maybe you're in a bad situation, you're escaping it, and you may go in there a little hotter than you need to be, and you may say something that gets you blacklisted. Additionally, if you want to come back, being prepared, being strategic in the way you say things, you're able to be constructive, honest, but not burn any bridges. So if you're not prepared, or if they try to catch you where, they're just like, hey, can you come in for an exit interview right now? I would say no, set it up on my calendar, and then I'll be ready to have it. But always be prepared before you do an exit interview, just in case. Better safe than sorry. So now for my personal opinion on the matter. Should you participate in an exit interview? I would not. I don't think exit interviews make a difference. I think that good companies are already going to be digging into what the issues are, whether you give an exit interview or not. And companies with terrible culture that don't manage their people well, that don't manage their leaders well, are not really going to take heed of anything that you say in that exit interview anyway. In fact, some of them may just discard negative exit interviews and only keep the good ones. Additionally, if you say anything wrong, they could use it against you in the future. They could use it against other coworkers in the present. And at the end of the day, if you really want to come back, good work speaks for itself. If you're a good quality employee and you leave, they will want you back in the future if you haven't burned any bridges by being hostile. So at the end of the day, I really don't think there's a whole lot of value to doing an exit interview, but there are definitely some downsides that could hurt you. And as an employee, you should always be looking out for yourself, protecting your future, and I think an exit interview is of little to no value to you as an employee. And so, in my opinion, I would not participate. But if you're going to, think of the pros and cons that we talked about here, the potential ramifications, both positive and negative, and then just make the decision that you think is best for you. So, that's my 2 cents. I will see you guys in the next one.